Then welcome everyone. Hello. As I said, I'm Agnes from Product Management Festival. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us for today's session. I see some names who are already popping up since many sessions you've been joining. So thank you for your persistence and staying with us weekly. That's so good to see. And today we have here with us Varun Sharma, Director of Product at Flipkart. And we're going to hear all about the nudges today. That's a topic. And just very quickly, for those of you, because I still see some names, new names, so I just want to grab the opportunity just to give a very short intro on what is Product Management Festival. So we are one of the biggest communities in the world for product managers. We organize a yearly conference once in APAC in Singapore, once a year around June, and the other is in Zurich in November. So these are yearly conferences. We also organize, thanks to our local ambassadors, the PM nights. There are meetups after work, meetups in various cities around the world, and the executive circles. And we also run the executive program with INSEAD, together with INSEAD. Many of you may have been, for those of you who don't yet know, you've been wondering after especially that we had to unfortunately cancel the conference in APAC this year under the current circumstances, that whether we will be moving online with the November conference. And I'm happy to announce that we are indeed moving online, but actually it's a hybrid conference. So for those of you who can actually come in person, there will be a small gathering in Zurich with all the hygienic measures observed that we need to, according to the authorities and health agencies, to keep everyone safe. And as well as it's possible to join in online. So if you are very far away from Zurich, but you would like to join for the two-day conferences with 40 plus speakers, amazing keynotes and discussions, then you can get your ticket on the website, and there is a discount code for all the attendees of PMF Connect. And if you have a bigger team who would be joining online, we can offer you special packages for viewing with your team while staying in your countries. And so today, as I mentioned, we're going to hear Varun sharing his experiences. And I just wanted to give you the context for PMF Connect. We started a PMF Connect as learning and sharing platform. And then we are now kind of trialing, testing with the part of interaction, because the knowledge sharing is obvious, but then how can we involve that it's a two-way conversation? So I invite you that during Varun's presentation, you write your questions in the Q&A. Also, he will be using for an interactive part Menti or Mentimeter. So really participate. And just a few words to introduce Varun, and then I will give the floor to him. So Varun leads two product teams at Flipkart, India's largest e-commerce company. And earlier, before that, he led the pricing and promotion product areas also at Flipkart. Currently, he is leading the storefront and the customer communications. And prior to Flipkart, he co-founded a startup, which is in the SaaS domain, Epiterate, which was acquired by Flipkart. I'm assuming this is how he got into Flipkart, but he will tell us all about his journey and then his experience and learnings with his talk, Unleashing the Power of Nudges. So I'm going to stop sharing and you can take over.
Thank you, Agnes. Hello, everyone. I think Agnes has already given a brief intro about myself. I'll just add a few words. It has been a 5-year journey at Flipkart, more than 5 years now, since my startup got acquired, and I've been working with Flipkart. So I have played product role in multiple teams at Flipkart, including the storefronts, customer communication, and pricing and promotions. Prior to that, as Agnes mentioned, I co-founded a SaaS-based startup, which was into A/B testing platform for native apps and marketing automation. So that's been my journey in the recent past. Yeah, okay. So let's get started with the conversation for today. Let me just quickly share my screen. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, it's good, Varun. Yeah.
Cool. So the topic for today is unleashing the power of nudges, and let's get right into it. So the image that you see here is of a urinal in a men's washroom. One of the key problem statements for urinals in men's washroom is that there is a lot of spillage. Uh, you know, around the world, your restroom maintenance folks have tried multiple things. They have tried notice boards. They have tried fines to reduce spillage, but kind of nothing has really worked until in early 90s. Folks at Amsterdam airport had a fantastic idea, and they put a small sticker of a fly inside the urinals, and voila, uh, guess what, men like to aim, and that led to reduction by 80% in spillage. Now that's a fantastic number. And just to look at a very small intervention, which is putting a sticker of a fly on the urinal, you are reducing spillage by 80%. That has its own cost implications. Your cleaning costs reduced by 8% overall, right? So great ROI, and just by putting a very small sticker there, it's almost like people at the airport authorities at Amsterdam had Jedi-like powers, and they could convince the users coming into the restroom that this is what you need to do. Yeah, so it does sound cool, right? In the power to influence your users in a way that you can make them do stuff that they would not have thought about, or they would want to do but probably don't know how, or are not motivated enough to do it in the right way, right? So yeah, I think that's what we are here about, to learn the ways of the force of how you can influence your consumers in getting the most value out of your products. Before we get started, a quick quiz to understand, if you had Jedi-like powers of influencing, how would you use them? So head over to menti.com, use the code 635689, and code in your answers. It's not coding, yeah, just select your answers. So I'll actually start sharing the results of how people are answering this question. Hope you all can see the answer screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Cool. So we have 12 answers. Okay. A majority of users want to nudge, majority of you want to nudge your users to get more value out of your products. Okay. We'll wait for 30 more seconds for any more responses that want to come in. Head over to menti.com, use the code 635689. Okay, so fantastic. It seems that most of you want to use Jedi-like powers to nudge your users to get more value out of your product. Fantastic. I wonder, if I had asked you the same question, all of you the same question, without the context of today's topic for the conversation today, would you have selected the same answers? I kind of talked about, I repeated that topic in the previous slide as well. And did it have any impact on the answers you choose today? Think over it. And we'll discuss this technique. It's called priming, and how it can be used to make people do things that you want them to. Yeah. Okay. Heading back to my presentation now. Cool. So even before you registered for this conversation, for this chat today, a question was posed to all of you while you were registering. What are the key blockers that you face or you think your users face while extracting value out of your product? While there were a lot of good answers that came in, I want you guys to focus on these three. People are calling out two very specific themes, and this is repeated in a lot of other answers as well, that users are not mature enough, they don't have enough motivation, they don't want to use the product, they have low interest in the product, or they're saying that users are not trained enough, they don't have enough knowledge, or the product is not convenient enough for people to use, or they don't understand how to use the product. So I want you all to take away these two themes in terms of things that could be blocking your users from extracting value. And the themes kind of are also codified in another framework by a professor Fogg, who is the author of the book called Tiny Habits. He talks about the two axes of motivation and ability, and talks about triggers of how to make your users move up in one of the axes. So if, let's say, if the users have the ability to use your product but don't have the motivation, how can you trigger them into increasing motivation? Or vice versa, where they have the motivation but don't have the ability to use your products. Yeah, so just a slight variation of that. So rather than using the word triggers, I'll use the word nudges here, right? So if your users are beyond this activation threshold, your nudges can help them move up in either ability or in motivation. Yeah, so what is a nudge, right? So we are talking about nudges here. So this is a dictionary definition of nudges, right? To coax someone or gently encourage someone, or a light touch or a push, right? But not something that would kind of excite a product manager. So let's look at the definition, another definition from another fantastic personality, Mr. Richard Thaler. He's the author of a book called Nudge, and is a Nobel winner in economics. He talks about choice architecture, and this is the definition that he calls what he calls as nudge. I want you all to focus on three particular parts of this definition. You're talking about altering people's behavior without forbidding any options for them, without forbidding any choices for them, or without changing their economic incentives. So with this definition of nudge, let's look at the types of nudges that are there and how you can effectively use them in your day-to-day life as product managers. Okay, so tying back to the two key problem statements, two key themes that your users face in extracting value out of your products. So motivation and decision making, or moving forward in the funnel, right? So we have a bunch of nudges that you can use for improving motivation. We have something called a scarcity, we have loss aversion, we have social proof, completion, achievement, to increase motivation, or in some cases, inspire new intent, right? Even though, let's say, your users know how to use your product, but they don't have an intent to use your product right now. Can you inspire new intent for these users? And these are some of the levers that we have. On the other hand, let's say they have the motivation and they have intent to use your product, but are not able to make decisions or not able to move forward in your funnel, right? Due to either a bad UX or something else. But how can you use nudges by priming users to do something, creating anchors for users to compare and make decisions? How to use authority to help users make better decisions, and just simplifying their life by limited choices, or making sure that they understand why something is being asked for in justifying requests. So let's look at some real life examples from companies around the world, and how they have used some of these nudges in their day-to-day products. So looking at increasing motivation first. So scarcity is something which is used very heavily in all of e-commerce, right? You talk about the quantity which is left for products to buy, which kind of motivates you. Oh, so this is something that is going to run out soon. Should I be interested in this? Right. So scarcity is a very, very, very potent tool for increasing motivation amongst your customers, and used heavily across e-commerce, be it travel, be it your retail, etc. Right. So these are two very good examples from some global leaders on how they use scarcity. So yeah, just type out what you think is at play here. Which nudge is at play here? Any answers? Okay, personalization, popularity. Yeah, I think some people have got it. Social proof, yes. So video platforms all over the world use social proof very effectively. If you look at Netflix, they use popular on Netflix, popular in your region, as very effective tools of creating new intent or motivating you for watching something new. If you look at YouTube gaming or Twitch, which are esport streaming platforms, they'll tell you how many viewers are watching a particular channel for creating new intent for you, and using social proofing very effectively for generating motivation. Okay, moving on to the next one. See, human mind does not like gaps, especially when it comes when these gaps are in a traditional structure where you know that this is how the structure should look like, but it's incomplete. So human brain absolutely does not like it and would want to fill those gaps if it can help that, right? And that that whole factor or the whole premise is used very beautifully in two products that I use very often, right? One is Google Fit. The moment you see the inner circle being incomplete, it motivates you to kind of complete your steps, or take more steps to complete that inner circle, right? Similarly, you see the gaps in your profile strength meter in LinkedIn, and it kind of eggs you on to complete your profile. And see, when you're doing these things, you are getting more value out of the product. If you have a richer profile, you have a much more personalized feed in your LinkedIn, and a lot more personalized recommendations come to you in your profile, right? So just using these tiny nudges to make people do or get more value out of the product. And see, I have left a big white space in this slide empty on purpose, right? That, see, like if there are any designers in the chat today, I'm pretty sure they'll feel very uncomfortable seeing this blank space all here, right? Because again, the same factor of completion is playing a role here. You know that a slide needs to be full, it needs to be symmetric, like something is missing. Yeah, so let's fill this up. So do you guys think that is there any other nudge which is at play in these two examples that I just showed of Google Fit and LinkedIn? Again, use your chat, just type in your answers. Okay, progress, anchoring, loss aversion. Interesting. Okay, limited choices. Interesting answer. Okay, so let me articulate the nudge which is at play here. It's called achievement, right? So once you do some actions and you get any reward, no matter how trivial that reward may be, if you get a reward for doing something, you get motivated for doing it again, right? That simple green tick saying that, hey, you have done a great job is a motivator, because you get a sense of achievement that you have accomplished something. Similarly, the labels or the badges that you get in LinkedIn, that you have an all-star profile. Oh, that's a good motivator again, that you have achieved something. Oh, even though, in the larger scheme of things, it may not matter, right? But these small badges, small nudges, do motivate users to, kind of do the same actions again and again. Yeah. So achievement is another, key nudge that is used a lot. And you would have heard about gamification and, achievements, badges, being used heavily. You would have seen them, experienced them, and they're used heavily for creating new intent, motivating users to continue using your product. Okay, so changing gears and moving to a different theme, which is helping in moving forward, right? So let me take this example. So this is from a e-commerce site, which travel e-commerce site, and I'll narrate a real life story of how this has worked in my case. Do you think this box, which calls out offers, is helping users move forward? Again, please type in your answers. I see. Had it been a face-to-face conversation, we would have taken we could have taken answers from the audience right there and then. But given that we are in this situation, let's type in your answers. Do you think this helps? This box which calls out promo code offers, it is helping? Okay, not much. Okay, so everyone has similar opinion that it's not really helping. But is it hurting? Yeah, I see one such example. Only if I have a promo code. Yes. Okay. People are saying that, there's fear of missing out. Fantastic. I think very good example. Some people are calling out that it might even reduce conversions. Fantastic. I think there's a great answer there. Prompts user to search for offers. They will go looking for it. Absolutely. And this is what happened with me, real time in real life on this very website. I saw this promo code nudge, and I said, hey, okay, I am missing out on an offer. Let me go find some offers. The next thing I do, I go to Google, I type the site name and promo codes. I did not get any promo codes for this particular website, but I found promo codes for 3 other websites, and I ended up making the purchase from one of the competitors. So this is a case of priming, accidental priming, where you are, rather than helping your users move forward in the funnel, you are actually making them drop off from the funnel. So you're priming your users to get offers, even though there may not be a promo code which is available for them. But now you have created that FOMO inside, or fear of missing out, in your users' mind, and they will go search for those offers, right? So yeah, so this is a case of accidental priming, which you need to kind of be aware of and avoid. Another great example of accidental priming is where you have a sign up page, and there was an A/B which was done by one of the companies. In one of the pages, they said, we will not spam you. The moment you read that word spam, you're getting primed towards the possibility of getting spammed. So in that particular A/B test, it was found that the variation which did not have the word spam in the copy was getting you a lot more signups compared to the other one. Yeah, so that's the power of priming. And yeah, again, going back to the first quiz that we did, had I asked you the same question without priming and without the context of this overall conversation, maybe the answers would have been different, or maybe it would not have been skewed 88 to 12% as it were. Cool. Moving forward. Okay. Going to a B2B example. A lot of B2B SaaS companies use the concept of anchoring beautifully to create value, or to signify value for a plan that they want their potential customers to pick. So in this particular example, if you look at the rightmost plan, that will be the anchor for users in terms of what is the maximum I like this, what is the value of this product, right? It's usually it will be much higher than the middle plan. And if you compare the features across these two plans, you'll realize that the feature difference is not that much, which will make the users feel that they're getting a fantastic deal on the middle plan. But guess what? That's the plan that the companies want you to take all along, right? So you're getting that feeling of you have bagged a great deal, you have saved a lot of money by choosing the middle plan versus the top plan, and you're not even losing out on any of these important features. So that's something which is used like by every decent or good B2B SaaS company. And if you look at their pricing page, this is the kind of structure you'll find in most of the cases. Okay, another question. Any other nudge that you feel that is there? Again, type in your answers. Okay, FOMO, free trial. Most popular. Fantastic. Limited choices. Alessandro, right? Yeah. So I think that's what is at play here. See, in a B2B world where you have sometimes you feel that more is good, more choices is good for the consumers, right? Not every time. Especially when you're in a B2B SaaS world, if you give a ton of choices, you might feel that you're giving your customers a lot of flexibility in picking and choosing certain features, and giving them value in terms of pricing. But that actually ends up creating a very high cognitive load for your customers. The decision making will become super cumbersome for your users. So sometimes less number of choices are better, right? So so that's another thing which is at play here. Limited choices. Cool. So another popular B2B example for a B2C example for another nudge. This is from Play Store on Android. So if you have a lot of things to kind of choose from when you're searching for games, or when you have to make a decision, which game, like, is this game useful? Is this game good enough? So while you have social proof in terms of ratings and reviews, another thing that helps in nudging the customers in making a decision, which is authority, which is you're putting a stamp of approval on a limited number of products, and you're saying, hey, this is something which you might find useful. So your editor's choice is that badge which is used very heavily in Google Play, but also similar badges are used by a lot of other companies to kind of put their stamp of authority on products to make decision making for customers easy. So they are helping users move forward in the funnel. Cool. Okay, time for another quiz. Again, head back to Menti. Same code, which is 635689, and quiz is this. This is a screen grab from a real life product. There are certain nudges at play here. I would like you guys to just give your answers on which nudges are at play, and then we can get into a discussion on that.
Can you repeat the code, please?
It's 635689. Okay, people have started answering. So let me share this screen. Okay, we have some answers. Scarcity social proof is a popular one. Absolutely. We have loss aversion, priming, finding its way. Anchoring, limited options, authority as well. Okay. Okay, we have around 12 people who have answered. We have loss aversion being the most popular one. Sure. Scarcity, social proof, next in line. Absolutely. Priming and anchoring. Absolutely. Okay. Any more answers that are coming in, or should I head back to the presentation? Okay. Let me get back to the presentation. Cool. So let me actually call out each of those nudges which are there. So let's start off with social proof. There are like two social proofs here. One where it's being called out that this particular property has been booked n number of times in the last X hours, and then there are reviews and ratings from users. There is loss aversion because it's calling out there's a great value today. You don't know whether this value will be available tomorrow or not. That's kind of nudging users to grab hold of this value today. Scarcity, that this is in high demand, we have only X number of rooms left in this property. Anchoring, so usually there are no anchors for hotel prices, right? So this particular website has created an anchor price, so to speak, so that users can find whether this particular price is at a deal price or not. And interesting one, so some people actually selected priming. Let me kind of try and delve how is priming at play here, for those for whom it is not very clear. So if you look at this particular image, right, so the room selection process is in the next stage. If you look at the call out on the bottom right, your CTA is taking you to select your room at a later stage. But the image right now is already showing you the room which is probably the most premium room in the property. So it's calling out to your senses that hey, this is how you enjoy your holidays, king size. You have a private pool, you have ocean view, whatnot, and it's kind of priming you for making a choice or upselling, priming you for upselling to the next stage, right? So yeah, so these are some of the nudges which are at play from a very popular travel website. Cool. Okay, so we talked about a very powerful tool of nudge which can help you influence users, but with great power there's always a dark side, and it's important for us to be aware of the dark side. And in this particular case, the dark side has a term, it's called dark patterns. And so how do you understand what are dark patterns, and how do you avoid them? So let's look at that. So this is the definition that is generally accepted for dark patterns. The area of focus that I would want you to kind of focus on is these are tricks that make people do what they do not want to do. So you have to be careful of making sure when you're using nudges, you're not creating environment where users are forced into doing something that they did not want to do in the first place. But you're always using nudges to help users move forward and help them in what they are looking forward to. So let me talk about a few types of dark patterns. So there is roach motel, which kind of talks about it's easy to get in but very difficult to get out. Maybe for a premium subscription, you got into a premium subscription, but now you're trying to unsubscribe. Some websites will make it really hard for you to find how to unsubscribe. Sometimes you'll probably end up calling the customer care, and there won't be any self-serve way of unsubscribing. So that's what a roach motel usually is. Forced continuity talks about offering you a free plan, and taking your credit card information to start your free plan, but without informing you starting on the paid plan or on the premium plan, right? That's what forced continuity is. So let's talk about a couple of few other real life examples of some of these dark patterns. Okay, a very interesting one. It's a classic example of bait and switch. So if you see this image on your mobile, right, you'll feel that hey, there's a hair strand on my mobile, let me just swipe it away. But so the black line that you see in this image is actually part of the image. It's not there on your phone, right? So it tricks users into tapping on this particular image or tapping on certain ads, right? That's a classic example of bait and switch. Another similar one, another real life example. You see those two specks of black in that image. And again, the moment you see it on your phone, you'll feel, oh, there's some dust particles on your phone, or there's something on your screen, right? You'll try and wipe it away with your finger, and you end up clicking another ad, right? So that's another example of bait and switch. A very specific example of bait and switch, where an ad would be made to look like something which is maybe like an inbox or something which you would otherwise click on. Maybe you don't want to click on an ad, but this again is a disguised ad. You feel that it's an inbox, you want to tap on that notification, but it takes you to an advertiser website. So that again is a dark pattern in action. Yeah, so I think this kind of brings me to the end of my conversation today. I'll quickly summarize what we talked about. So we talked about identifying your users, the blockers that your users have. They can usually be classified into lack of motivation or intent, or inability in moving forward. We talked about what are nudges. They are tools for altering your user behavior without forbidding any options or changing economic incentives for your users. We talked about two buckets of nudges which can help your users to either increase intent via things like scarcity, loss aversion, social proof, completion. And we talked about nudges which can help your users make better decisions or move forward in your funnel by priming, anchoring, using authority, or just simplifying stuff by limited choices and justifying your requests. We also talked about being wary of dark patterns and steering clear of from some of these dark patterns. And that kind of brings me to the end of my conversation, and I'll open the floor for questions. Thank you, folks. Let the questions flow.
Thank you very much, Varun. Thank you. This was super eye-opening, especially the part on the bad nudges. I mean, I think a lot of them, it's kind of clear. We know it subconsciously, but to say it out loud, it was very, very insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't need to start with my icebreaker question because we already have a question. So what I propose, folks, is that if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, basically we use the chat that you kind of raise your hand that you want to ask a question. And then I ask you to unmute yourself, because then you can give more context. You can have a back and forth discussion. So it's like a discussion and not a monologue. So I'm going to take the first question from Lior. If you want to mute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you very much. Great presentation, well structured.
Thank you.
During this example you gave on the one that we voted on, there I saw so many nudges, and my feeling that when overusing those, users can lose trust in the product, or they will have too much cognitive load. I mean, have you seen this in your experiments with your marketplace?
So yeah, so I think that's a very important point that you brought up, trust, right? So I think overusing nudges can lead to loss of trust. I think also, so again, another dark pattern is faking some of these nudges, right? You call out that we have only 3 rooms left, but maybe there are like 20 rooms left. Eventually, see, users are smart, right? They will find out when they were tricked into it, and when they were actually when they were actually made to realize the value with a valid nudge. If you use nudges by faking facts, by faking information, that will lead to bad consequences in the long run and should be absolutely avoided. Similarly, overusing nudges, absolutely. See, nudges also work with scarcity, right? If everything is, let's say, if you have 10 results on a search results page for an e-commerce website or for a travel website, and you have the scarcity nudge for everyone, then basically you have a nudge for neither of them. So you're not differentiating, or differentiating one out of, or few out of many, and basically that will lead to blindness. Overuse of nudges will also lead to blindness, and yeah, so they have to be used scarcely. Thanks for bringing that point up.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one I have, Holger, do you have any specific questions? I know that was kudos to you, so great presentation. So Malavika, do you want to unmute yourself if you're still connected?
Hi Varun. So
Hello.
my question was regarding subliminal nudges. So I have read about this where people are not aware of the nudge there and it is only for a fraction of second and all that. So this subliminal nudges, do they really work?
See, actually, I'm not sure what you're referring to as subliminal nudge, but a lot of these nudges work at a subliminal level, right? For example, we talked about the fly on the urinal, right? So no one is actually asking you to aim at the fly, but subliminally, the moment you see that fly, you feel like you kind of want to aim at it. So that's an example of a subliminal nudge. By the way, that's also an example of a bait and switch. You feel that there's an actual fly there, and you want to kind of make it fly away, but it's not there, right? So it's a dark pattern, so to speak, but used in a very positive scenario for something which is users absolutely want to do.
So what I meant is I have read in a place where in theaters, like they display a small Coke bottle or a burger picture just for a fraction of second, which you might not perceive that you have seen, but it almost induces you to go and buy out a burger for yourself. So I mean, I was curious
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
does
Yeah.
that
So
really work?
again, those are also nudges. Nudges that are used. Absolutely. So again, I think they do work and that's why they are in use. Again, the thing is that there is, with subliminal nudges like that, there is that morality question which will come in, like right. So I think you have to be careful about using those nudges. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, for helping your consumers, because in the long run, if you're doing things which are not helping your consumers in the long run, they are bound to kind of fall flat and lose their potency in the long run.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great question.
More question? Feel free to unmute yourself and then ask, fire away.
I miss in-person conferences. I think that's where engagement is at a much higher level.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's very difficult because we don't see each other, and yeah. I'm interested. Okay, then I asked my question. I'm interested in the bias part. So, what kind of biases can be introduced with nudges, and is it worth using nudges and then dealing with the bias that it can create?
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point to kind of think of. See, like we talked about accidental nudges, right? Where you did not intend a bias to be created, but you ended up creating a bias for people to go look for offers or promo codes before they continue in your funnel. So with all of these nudges, you'll have to be conscious of what are the long-term biases that you're creating. Let's say, for example, any nudges which are deal related or again related to promo codes. Are they creating a perception that, this, I'll only make a purchase on this platform when I have a promo code or when I get a good deal?
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the long-term insinuations that you have to kind of think about while designing your nudges. So there's a short-term impact, which could be very positive, but that could lead to a long-term behavior shaping in a way that you did not anticipate and you did not want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's important to be conscious of long-term repercussions of some of these nudges.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's interesting because when I think about, like, before your presentation, I thought about nudges in general. I thought it is something that is the marketing's field, and it's their expertise, and it's for us. It's good to understand, but I don't need to necessarily understand all the various types of nudges. But after your presentation, actually, after Tuesday when we spoke, and then I've seen the outline of your talk, I really saw that it's super important from the product development perspective. And this is actually my anchoring point for me, is the bias point, what it can introduce.
Yeah, absolutely. So those biases, once they are created, they will, for at least your old users, they will kind of stick and will probably create a perception about your platform, about your product, that this is how you are supposed to use the product, right? And this maybe a particular platform becomes that you have to buy it from this platform only when you find a great deal. Otherwise, don't buy from this platform.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Varun. I don't see any more questions. I see people appreciating very much your presentation, so that's good feedback.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in.
Yes. So Vinay, just asking any recommendation books you have, articles.
Sure. See, there's the book on nudges by Richard Thaler that you could read. Absolutely, like Malvika also pointed out. That's a good book in general to talk about nudges, and it kind of talks about not just product from a product management perspective, but from a larger public policy perspective of how you can use these nudges for shaping public policy. So rather than creating fines and laws to keep people in check, how can you nudge people to do the right thing? Then I think another great example, Predictably Irrational by Dan Riley, another fantastic book on how people think, on how users think, and how you can use that thinking to kind of make people make better design decisions, make better product design decisions, and not just digital products, but any product.
Okay. Maybe I should look into that book. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's the end of our session today. So thank you very much for having joined and really staying until the end. And we will be sending the recording as usual a couple of days after the presentation. And if you wanted to get the presentation as well, Varun, are we going to share the presentation as well, or just the recording?
Sure, we can share the presentation.
Okay.
That's okay.
So we can also share the presentation. And yeah, feel free to leave any further notes for us once you receive the follow-up email from us, if you have any feedback, how to improve PMF Connect. And otherwise, we see you in a week, again on Thursday, with the next session, which will be by Anup from Netflix. So we will soon be making the announcements on the topic, and then talk to you soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, folks.